In this multi-part comparison series for my journey of finding the best premium home Wi-Fi 6 setup, I will compare and contrast features amongst the latest version of Aruba Instant OS, Ruckus Unleashed firmware, and UniFi Network OS. Let's get started. For each of the systems, following OS firmware versions are used, which are the latest versions at the time of this recording. All three system setups consist more than 2 access points to experience multi-AP setup. As a disclaimer, I am just a home user, network hobbyist, so there are many features that I haven't touched and do not even know what they do. In general, my network setup motto is keep it simple, do no harm. This is a general feature comparison from home user's perspective, rather than the full comprehensive one. Also, it's important to note that UniFi system, when looked at access points alone, lacks several features as compared to the other two. So I'm including UniFi Network OS features as part of discussion. However, technically Network OS features are a router gateway feature, and therefore I can use them independent of access points. So if you are thinking just access point feature but have different network system, please pay close attention to these differences. On today's feature comparison category, I will be focusing on following features: radio resource management, guest Wi-Fi, SSID customization, security, and analytics troubleshooting tools. Choosing the right or wrong combination of parameters can have a drastic impact on the Wi-Fi network performance and stability. Given most home setting requires only a handful access points deployment, the basic manual setting should be able to attain near optimal performance of the system for a given instant. However, the optimal setting may change time to time in home environment due to uncontrollable factors such as neighbor's Wi-Fi. So I believe availability of automatic radio resource management can have a strong impact to home users' daily Wi-Fi experience. Aruba Instant calls their automatic resource management technology Adaptive Radio Management, ARM. ARM adjusts channel configuration and transmission power in real time for each access point. There are many customizations we can do to ARM setting. One of the features is called Client Match. The ARM Client Match feature will disconnect even already associated client devices when better access point choice is found for the device in your network. From the end user perspective, this technology can help reduce the situation like sticky client issue. From my brief experience of the technology, this seems to work fairly well. For example, Client Match seems to help the situation where I was on 2.4 GHz connection on dual band SSID. Despite I walked toward the access point, it still roamed to 5 GHz band. This won't typically happen if you just let client device decide what band to connect. This is because client won't see its requirement for Wi-Fi dissociation from 2.4 GHz as the signal continues to become stronger rather than weaker. But Client Match knows I got to the point with usable 5 GHz radio, so it triggers disassociation, and as a result, my iPhone looks for a new access point association and properly finds 5 GHz. The important part of Client Match is that it is AP that affecting connection, so it does not require client devices to support Client Match specifically. The picture shown here is an actual example of Client Match data analyzer. This is a MacBook Pro that is being intentionally connected to 2.4 GHz only connection SSID. It is currently associated with the second best RSSI AP. Though technically there is a better signal 2.4 GHz access point at this particular moment, it did not switch because they did not meet the criteria for significant enough difference in signal or perhaps long enough difference time. In fact, if I check the heat map in a minute or two after on the same client, it is now looked to be the best AP choice. So the key here is that device definitely picking the reasonable access point that I would have personally put manually. It's pretty cool technology. Aruba Instant offers many options to users in general. For example, if you look at the band steering option, you can see Aruba Instant's ARM offers 6 different options. Ruckus Unleashed also supports real-time adjustment of transmission power and channel configurations. One of the relevant signature technology by Ruckus here is called Channel Fly. Supposedly, unlike traditional background scanning, just looking for less interference channels, Channel Fly constantly evaluates and uses statistical data to look for higher throughput capacity channel. This makes a total sense. The interference is a secondary findings indicative of reduced throughput capacity, but what users really care is actual throughput capacity. So measuring it directly should be more accurate and usable. I can't say for certainty how Ruckus Unleashed RRM compares to ARM in Aruba. On paper, though, I would not be surprised if Ruckus RRM, including Channel Fly, turns out to be superior to Aruba. This is because, if for nothing else, Channel Fly uses statistical data over the time to find better channel, while ARM relies on instantaneous snapshot of the RF environment. In Aruba, there is a newer technology called AirMatch that uses 24 hours of RF data for choosing optimal setting. But this is only available to those who have local dedicated controller system and not for regular instant access point. Ruckus Unleashed supports both load balancing and band steering with customization capability. Here, rather than giving setup pre-built options, we can actually put numbers. Unlike the other two platforms, UniFi does not offer real-time radio resource management. With the most recent version of OS, the wording of what they do is more clear as previous wording was felt a little misleading. UniFi access points will adjust the transmission power only the time of access point starts up. For the channel selection, they adjust either at the time of startup or when you manually ask it to do. Although UniFi supports band steering option, it is either on or off, without any granular control, nor the actual detail of what it actually does. I do not see load balance option for UniFi unlike the other two. I'm a bit skeptical about their optimized channelization feature for 2 reasons. One is timing of the optimization is only at the moment of the user clicking the button, so it won't prevent from user choosing wrong timing. The second reason is UniFi access points are required to stop serving Wi-Fi when optimization is taking process. This makes me wonder if the actual dataset they are using to optimize may not be reflecting real network status. Many home users like to set up guest Wi-Fi, where guests can use your home Wi-Fi, but not having ability to access any of your home network devices. All 3 systems support guest Wi-Fi setup. One of the differences is ability to be able to isolate subnet or inter-VLAN connection. Both Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed offer access point level configuration to block inter-VLAN network, while for UniFi, this needs to be done at the level of router. Between the Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed, I felt the amount of time it took me to figure out initial setup for inter-VLAN isolation was quite different though. For Aruba Instant, I had to enter each block entries in correct order manually to ensure client devices do not have access to any of my home network device. In fact, I had to spend a couple hours figuring out how to do this exactly because I didn't initially think of adding DHCP or DNS exception entries. In contrast, screen shown for Ruckus Unleashed is its default setting when guest Wi-Fi is selected. Basically, Ruckus Unleashed had a default complete client isolation when guest Wi-Fi mode was selected. One of the neat features that all three platforms supports is an option to use captive screen login for guest Wi-Fi. This is a feature where you can see on public hotspot access such as cafe, library, and airport. All three allow us to customize a captive screen and also offer option to use social authentication service. For UniFi and Aruba, the social authentication option is limited to Facebook, while Ruckus have addition of Google, LinkedIn, and Microsoft. Although I have not tested this myself, one unique looking feature on the Ruckus Unleashed is its ability of individual guest pass. This feature is based on their signature technology, DPSK, which I will touch briefly later, but it's an evolved version of PPSK. This feature can allow every guest using your Wi-Fi be distinguished from one another. The feature even allows you to set up the system such that you do not have to provide the guest pass, but instead, each guest can request it using their email and/or SMS automatically. It certainly sounds like a handy feature for enterprise setting, but I'm not sure how useful this feature would be for home use. Another currently only seen on Ruckus Unleashed feature is that it doesn't necessarily relate to guest Wi-Fi, but I can see it could be useful in this setting is QR code login. Ruckus can generate QR code for login. Since most of guests want Wi-Fi for their mobile device, I can technically print one and let them scan when they need guest Wi-Fi access. For the variety of reasons, we may want to create different types of SSID. Often these separation overlaps VLAN configuration, but sometimes they are unique to Wi-Fi. To help customizing each SSID setting, different platforms offer different levels of Wi-Fi network customization. Common features such as bandwidth restriction, Wi-Fi scheduler, and radio band separation are supported by all three platforms. Access control list refers to a way of blocking certain types of network connection access, such as Amazon Prime and Netflix app. While all three supports ACL and seems to properly block apps, web content filter does not seem to be well supported. While Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed support content filtering, both require subscription. I got to try Ruckus Unleashed content filter, which is free for first 90 days. It's easy to use and works well, while offering granular control. On my quick Google search, it looks like the cost is $58 per access point for 3 years. Some may consider this is a reasonable price, but I, as a home user, somehow hate subscription. Despite hours of online search, I could not get Aruba Instant Content Filter work at all, which I believe is due to the fact that I do not have subscription. As for UniFi, this is not supported by at the level of access point. However, UniFi OS does support at the level of VLAN for free. Though the choices are fairly limited as you have only 3 settings to choose from. If you want high level of content filtering, the best option is set up dedicated router. Private pre-shared key, PPSK, is an interesting feature that has been recently added to UniFi, but it has been one of the signature technology for Ruckus for a long time. At the very basic level, which is what UniFi has, this feature allows using different passwords to log in into a given SSID. The chosen password decides which VLAN to use, despite on the same SSID. Ruckus Unleashed called this DPSK, and far more options. With DPSK, it does not just put client to different VLAN, but it can uniquely tag a client and configure different things such as expiration time. Aruba Instant Line offers analogous technology with the name of MPSK, but this requires subscription to their ClearPass technology. The network security does not just end or starts at router. Wi-Fi security is important even for home users. The latest, more secure standard version of Wi-Fi Protected Access Protocol is WPA3, which was released in 2018 and more secure than previous generations, and still popular WPA2. These WPA standards come in both personal and enterprise editions. Regardless of which one you'd like to choose, all three systems supports WPA2 and WPA3 for both personal and enterprise. It is worth mentioning that, though, if you want to use features like PPSK and DPSK, they are currently only supported for WPA2. Another layer of Wi-Fi security involves detection and possible protection against specific types of wire security threats and risks. Some of these include such as access point spoofing, DHCP spoofing, and many others that I have no clue about. As far as I know, UniFi can detect rogue access point, but not anything else. In contrast, Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed not only detects rogue APs, but also offers option for containment. However, I think as a home user, we should never use containment feature, as misuse of this feature can result in essentially breaking neighbor's Wi-Fi. Looking at the number of listings, Aruba Instant have way more options than Ruckus Unleashed, especially for intrusion detection system. But I do not believe these features have much relevance to us as a home user. One of the important aspects of multi-access point Wi-Fi system setup for me is seamless roaming. There are several protocols that help improving roaming of a client between access points. All three systems support fast roaming and BSS transition. I could not find equivalent option in UniFi for neighboring list report. One key feature that both Aruba and Ruckus have, but UniFi currently does not support, is cellular call roaming. This feature allows roaming between Wi-Fi and a cellular network during Wi-Fi call. Although I can't say for certainty if this is the main reason, but both Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed provides seamless Wi-Fi call roaming at my home, while UniFi was not able to do so. In an ideal world, there is no issue with Wi-Fi and we never have to use any of these tools. But when there is an issue, it would be nice to have some tools to help us point to the right direction. There are various troubleshooting and Wi-Fi analyzer tools each system provides. Some are unique to each platform. For the connectivity performance check, each system offers slightly different approach. Aruba Instance show a graphical representation for each client's connectivity performance. The speed shown in these graphs is simply wireless link speed (PHY). In addition, it also shows real-time throughput for each client. I could not find direct latency check tool with Aruba Instant. Ruckus offers the access point to client iPerf-like speed test, but they require installing app on the client device, so not all devices will be compatible with it. Interestingly, Ruckus offers ping and trace route command directly within the mobile app and web UI. Although we can certainly install apps for these or use computer terminal, it's nice to have these practically useful tools built into the admin app. One unique feature Ruckus Unleashed offer, while I couldn't find on the others, is what they call Troubleshoot Analyzer. This feature checks connection establishment process between any client to access point step by step. I don't know how to use this info myself, but on the right person's hand, I can see this information may be very useful. UniFi has a built-in latency tool to each client that are connected to UniFi network, which is visually shown. One really nice feature for UniFi access point with UniFi gateway setup is Wi-Fi Man. This mobile app can provide real-time signal strength, throughput, and latency all within one single mobile app. To obtain these information on the iPhone without UniFi access point setup, I have been using 3 different mobile apps, and they don't look as pretty as Wi-Fi Man. In many cases, Wi-Fi performance degradation relates to interference. So another set of tools I sometimes look is Interference Analyzer. Aruba instances have spectrum analyzer graph for each access point, each radio band. The interference shown here includes non-Wi-Fi source, such as microwave, Bluetooth, and cordless phones. When it comes to visual inspection tool, I really feel UniFi is a couple levels above the other two. UniFi has radio frequency environment scan to see which channel is open or less congested by each access point. UniFi also offers the channel interference in nice, organized graphical form. Although they do look nice, the practical value of these features may be a little debatable. Despite neither Aruba Instant nor Ruckus Unleashed have any easy way to see other channel congestion status, we know they are actively checking in order to be able to perform automatic radio resource management. Whereas in UniFi, the RF scan requires manual initiation, and it actually stops the access point for serving Wi-Fi during the scanning time. So under the hood, Aruba, Instant, and Ruckus Unleashed are actually doing better job and just hiding it from a user. However, since UniFi users require manual radio resource management, these visual tools are necessity. Lastly, Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed have many other debug tools that are well beyond the scope of most home users and certainly beyond my understanding of the utility. In summary, each system has their own pros and cons for feature set, although different users may have different requirements for the Wi-Fi setup features. As an average home user, I think 3 main relevant differences are automatic radio resource management availability on Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed, cellular roaming support on Aruba Instant and Ruckus Unleashed, better integrated visual Wi-Fi troubleshooting and analyzer tools on UniFi. Personally, automatic radio resource management and cellular roaming have shown to improve my daily Wi-Fi experience at our home. Thanks for watching.